It is Talking Reds, it is John Gibbons, this is Mo Stewart, and this is Josh Sexton. And you are Liverpool fans excited for this evening, I am sure, because Liverpool are in the knockout stages of the Champions League. And it's the most wonderful time of year, Josh. This is the bit of a season I love. You know, the Premier League's great, domestic cups I'm into, but the Champions League, when you get to the business end, and I know, especially when you're welcoming, you know, these big teams to Liverpool and the city starts to fill up. It's the drama, Josh. I love it.
It's just the drama, Mick. I love it. It's like it's everything around as well, isn't it? It's the lighter nights as you're coming into March. We had a nice little sort of, I guess not necessarily a sneak peek of what Champions League nights could be like, but we had a lovely time in the Glenbook on Saturday. It's fair to say. So I'm hoping more lovely times will be had tonight. But no, like you mentioned, it does just feel like there's a serious case of European Cup fever sweeping Liverpool. I like love seeing fans of other teams like bounce around the city and stuff and enjoying themselves. I've not had a chance to necessarily see it yet with PSG fans, but you can always feel it bubbling on the day of a game, I think, and they seem to be coming here full of confidence, so I really hope they have a lovely time and then don't very much from 8 p.m. onwards.
Full of confidence. Confidence is the word, Mo. You were at all the press conferences last night. Let's talk a little bit about PSG first of all, because they seem to have been here for a long time. The first spotting of the manager was Sunday night, which I was sort of a little bit surprised about. It might have just been some fella who looked like him, but they've been here a while. They've been popping up in places. My friend's got the KO Grill, a fantastic restaurant on Bowl Street, and the I think it was the chairman of PSG sort of ended up going in there. I know that a few people have said they've seen him about, but for everyone who has sort of seen them and been in contact with them, the general consensus seems to be like, these boys fancy you.
Absolutely. It's funny as well that they've taken a different approach to Liverpool, where Slot was very much like, the Southampton game is really important, it's a final, we really want to make sure it's important. They're like, this league game could not matter any less than possible. So they dropped, rested 8 players. And Luis Enrique even said afterwards, it's like, you know how I said that I wasn't thinking about Liverpool before this game? I lied. I was thinking about Liverpool. I'm thinking about Liverpool all the time. They have been building up pretty much since the final whistle on Wednesday night. They've been thinking about nothing else but this game, which, I mean, like you say, they've seemed confident. They've seemed like they've taken confidence from that game, even though they've lost it, which is, I don't know. I mean, if we were in that situation, I'd want us to do the same thing. But at the same time, I think there's just not quite the acceptance that this game's going to be a different game.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very different kettle of fish. It's going to be a very different Liverpool that they're going to have to face.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it, Josh? Because, you know, on one hand, you think, well, you know, they need to be confident that they're going to get something out of it. They probably feel like, you know, the manager was almost starting that street after the game, wasn't he? I'm saying, you know, well, we would go there, we would go there to win and things like that. But there's the saying you're still in it, and then the saying, like, you know, a bit over the top, which is, you know, it's getting into, you could just, I feel like I could just see a Parisian walking towards a trapdoor. Like that's the mental image. And every time he says something else, this handsome Parisian man, he just steps a little bit closer, and then suddenly he's just through the floor. And, you know, I don't know, I'm going to check my phone in a minute, and I don't know, someone's going to call the Beatles shit, and then it'll just go like, because they're like, there's the saying we're still in it, and then they're saying, well, we're basically through, which is what they seem to be getting down.
I've seen that thing from the stadium the other night where they're like redoing all the sponsors, aren't they? Maybe they're just doing acne over all the sides. That feels like they're gonna run into some big anvil or something like that. It's just funny, isn't it? Because we've seen managers, like I referenced it on the pre-match meal yesterday, our subscriber show, looking ahead to this, and you know that Marcelino is the one I remember, the Villarreal manager who came and just like completely disrespected Anfield beforehand and then got blown away. And it does have all those sort of hallmarks of that, like the level of confidence they've come with. Like, there's textbooks to read from, and I wouldn't be reading from the Marcelino one, I wouldn't be reading from the Pep Guardiola one necessarily. I think there's maybe like a Diego Simeone one that people could take a little look at, although that one includes your bad keeper basically throwing it to one of their lads. No offence to Adrian if he's watching. And
turning up with Oblak.
Yeah.
which they can't do.
Yeah, they also definitely can't do that. So it's going to be interesting to see sort of, you know, that level of confidence and how that plays out for them on the pitch. I just think, you know, Liverpool fans approach it with always a cautious optimism, and I think we've been like that for much of this season around the league title and things like that. And I think you've seen it in atmosphere's gone by. I know Neil's been at pains to say this season that, for all the questions about Liverpool's atmosphere when they were winning all and sundry earlier in the season, it's a reactive atmosphere. Like, Liverpool fans know when to bring the atmosphere at the right time. We're so on the same page with this team. It feels like that's what, Mo talks about, us starting to click into gear. It feels like that's been a synergetic thing throughout the fans and the team together. So it just feels like we're built for occasions like these. And listen, that might come back to bite me, but I've got the right level of confidence, I think, about tonight compared to what I'm seeing from PSG corners.
I mean, did it come across in person, Mo? Because you were with them in a room, and sometimes things can look slightly differently when they're written down and when they're reported on, rather than when people are saying them and the mannerisms. How did both the player and the manager come across to you?
So I would say more, less cocky, more just confident in themselves. So some of the quotes you've seen from some of the other players about, Bayern were a better team than these, Arsenal were a better team. It wasn't quite at that level. I think they probably were aware of where they were and probably aware of the effect that those quotes had already had.
Well, Arne Slot mentions them, which is interesting, isn't it? He does that manager thing, which is like, I believe that someone has said this, but we're not bothered. And I'm like, first of all, you brought it up.
Yeah, he's definitely bothered. And like the way that Arne Slot kind of trod the line between saying, oh no, PSG were very impressive, but we weren't shit.
Yeah.
Like that was really interesting as well. But Kvaratskhelia in particular, he was just like, doing the normal player stuff, we believe in ourselves. And one of the things that he said, which stuck out to me, was like they were very disappointed in the aftermath of the game that they played so well and lost. But then the next day they were laughing about it. And in my mind, I was like, really? Were you laughing about it? I'm not sure you were. But they were trying to be like, okay, yeah, business as usual. We trust ourselves, we back ourselves, and all that kind of stuff. Luis Enrique, I think he's a fucking great manager. And I also think he's the kind of guy who he can diffuse that kind of situation, any kind of tension around. You can just like, look, I've seen it all before. I've been in situations where we've lost the first leg 4-0 and still gone through. So I'm not that bothered, and that kind of calmness about it. But he wasn't flippant. He was very much just like, well, if we do what we're supposed to do, then we should have a good chance. But at the same time, he wasn't disrespecting Liverpool. He knew that it was going to be tough. And I think both managers kind of were at the same place. They're like, have you seen these guys? They're really good. But we're also good, so we believe that we can win. And that's what makes this game so special, I think, because both teams are going to be going in with that mindset.
But it does give a little bit of fuel to the Liverpool supporters who, it doesn't take much for them to sort of to give us a bit of a prod. It has to be said. We are, if not highly strung, then elevated strung. Yeah. I think it is fair to say we will take umbrage where Bridges is present, and you would imagine that, if not quite, words are being, sellotaped to training room walls, then there's certainly the flying around WhatsApps, and it's like, all right, we'll show them.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it feels like. It feels like it's probably been taped to bathroom mirrors, if that's like the equivalent of pins to notice boards in dressing rooms, unless anyone's just got tactics boards lying around the house, which again I won't be surprised if Atco did. So he's probably.
I was thinking of Gutman shadow boxing in the shower with the quotes.
But to be fair, Gutman likes to cry it in, so he might just be completely agreeing with everything PSG is saying, and he's probably using that as fuel for his compo bet fire. Yeah.
On every time one of them says something.
It's like Mo said, though, it just feels like it only adds to the ingredients of what should be a great night at Anfield, and that's where listen, you can begrudge the sort of format of the Champions League and the fact that Liverpool have got a hard tie this early on and stuff, but like I was buzzing from the draw, because I just think like it's the Champions League, you're gonna get great teams throughout anyway. PSG had a pretty rubbish start to their Champions League campaign, which is partly why they were. I know it's not necessarily that far down the table, but it's why they were there in the table in the first place. You probably could get somebody worse in any other year who just happened to have a bit of a better start, like a Celtic or something like that. So, we were a little bit unlucky with the draw, but that's the reason for the draw, isn't it? You get the second leg back to Anfield, and we want to see big European teams playing at Anfield. Like this is even though we're now a couple of years into the Champions League and want to be winning it and want to be getting the easiest path to it, like seeing big European teams come to Anfield, seeing fans of big European teams bounce around Liverpool and stuff like that to me is what the Champions League is all about. So like absolutely absolutely bring it on.
I was thinking this, bro. Like the song is "Bring on your man," Internationale, "Bring on your Roma by the score."
Bring on your Aston Villa and Club Brugge by the score.
It is not. Bring on your lowest ranked team left. We came first, so we should get to pick.
But I think people are genuinely nervous, though, aren't they? Because it's like they don't want to have had all that early promise and then see it thrown away. But I'm like you look at the other side. Think about the positivity you take from beating a big team. I think back to when we won it. Who did we have in the last 16? Bayern Munich. And we beat them. Yeah. And how did we all feel after beating them? You know what? We can beat anybody.
Yep.
And we'd already beaten PSG at home in the group stage. And if you think about that PSG was similar to the Real Madrid and the Bayer Leverkusen we had in the group stage. Then we go into the knockouts and we beat a big team straight away in the knockouts. You think, all right, okay, bring it on. Who's next? And not only do we think that, but everyone else in Europe thinks, uh-oh, we've seen this movie before. These lot are on one. So I'm very much looking at it from the positive perspective of beating a big team, taking the confidence from it, and basically scaring the crap out of the rest of Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. Up for scaring the crap out of the rest of Europe, maybe the world, because there will be a World Club Championship at some point if we qualify for this, and so we will be their problem as well. Okay, I'm going to have a little bit of a break now. We're going to talk more about Slott's press conference, about Jota as well. But first of all, huge shout out to our partners for this run of Talking Reds, NordVPN. It's funny because I listen to quite a lot of podcasts, and NordVPN are quite prevalent in the sphere. They've worked out its excellent value. But when I listen to some of the other ones, and they talk about NordVPN very differently to us, and I'm like, oh right, all these other benefits as well, and I feel like I'll write them down and list it. But basically what you want to know is, can I switch my virtual location? Yes. Can I watch something that might take place in this country that isn't on telly here? Yes, you can. You just need to sign up to another subscription service. They're out there. Message me, get on the Tour subscribers group. They're all talking about the various options, and suddenly stuff that's not on telly in your country might suddenly become available to you. So that is the main thing that we're all interested in. But yeah, when I listen to these other podcasts, I'm like, oh yeah, internet security, that is important. So I'll try and start by them down. But if you go to nordvpn.com/TAW, they will give you the full list of benefits, of which there are many. But I'm just a simple guy with simple needs who wants to watch certain things at 3 o'clock, and this allows me to do that. I'm very grateful for it. nordvpn.com/TAW. Thanks a lot to them for partnering with us. Jota, I thought you made him a little bit sad. No, I'm sure it wasn't your intention, because it never is. Look at what a happy guy he is. He was like, and I was like, oh, mate. But he's going to score loads tonight, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's funny because I did mention that in my press conference review, which is coming out very soon. But I did feel a little bit bad.
Yeah. So we've all done it.
Sometimes,
not to do a good job.
No. Sometimes you're doing research and you see a stat and you just think, oh, that's a killer. That. Yeah. It's literally 4 years to the day today.
It's too perfect.
It's too perfect. And it's like, you know what? Like strikers, you always think, oh, well, they're always up on their stats. So you wouldn't be surprised if he did know about it. But no, he didn't know about it. Yeah. He did look like I just shot his puppy. I told him. But I'm really looking forward to the idea of now him scoring tonight and him holding 4 fingers up to the crowd and going, there you go. There's your 4 years.
Taking his top off to read a picture of Mo on his shirt.
Stitch that.
Listen, anything that helps. Anything that sort of adds fuel. It wasn't quite one of those things, isn't it, where these strange quirks do throw up, but it wouldn't surprise you at all if he does put that right, because he's a big game player, and I think he will start tonight.
Yeah, it's a funny one, because I could definitely go either way on team selection. Like I mentioned on the pre-match meal yesterday that for me, like I like the idea of going into this with like an element of control in the early stages, because I think what's going to suit PSG and like their crowd and stuff like that is that they're going to come in with this sort of confident head of steam that we've been talking about in the first part of the show there. So I can imagine them trying to just make it a mad game quite early on, like trying to throw everything at it from the early stages, and that's where like I think you saw when Liverpool kept getting pinned back in the first leg that Jota wasn't necessarily the great outball that we needed to be. Like he's not the Nunes level outball, and him and Diaz were having to really come quite deep to get the ball, which is where you'd probably rather a midfielder who's used to carrying the ball through, under pressure. But I can see a scenario definitely where it is Jota starting tonight instead. It feels like the sort of more tried and trusted, doesn't it? And that's the thing, like, you know, whether it's Mo lighting fires under Diogo Jota, or whether it's just, you know, that he knows those stats himself, he does feel like one of those players who loves to prove people and narratives and things like that wrong. Like, he feels like he's really stitched into the fabric of this Liverpool team now, and how all season really it feels like they've been busting narratives all around them. So I'd really not be surprised if he was starting tonight, and then if he does go and get his goal as well.
Another person who likes to prove people wrong is Mo Salah, and he got a bit of stick after the away leg, which I thought was a bit over the top, considering, you know, it wasn't a night to be an attacker for Liverpool. No. I don't think he didn't sort of see loads of the ball, and yeah, he could have used it better in certain situations, and there was a couple of times he give it away in situations where he normally does better. But he'll be conscious of all that as well, and he'll be aware that, you know, if you do want to win the Ballon d'Or, there's no better people to impress than the French. Sort of on this, it is their award after all, and yeah, lighting a little fire under Mo Salah is a dangerous thing too.
I think so, and like Nuno Mendes took a lot of credit and praise for the way that he played him. If you look at the stats, like in terms of duels won, tackles won, all that kind of stuff, it's a very impressive stat line. But anyone can do that in one game against Mo Salah. To do it in 2 games against Mo Salah, you have to be really good. And I think that one of the things Slot mentioned in the press conference was that PSG exhausted Liverpool with the way that they were in their face and the way that made them chase around so much. That meant that when Liverpool did get the ball, they were a bit tired. They weren't able to execute properly. So sometimes you see, like, there were a couple of times when, like you say, Salah was in good positions and he probably made the wrong pass or didn't play the pass as perfectly as we know he can do. And that's a factor of the fact that they were all a bit mentally tired because they'd been chasing this team around all game. If we have more of the ball, as I expect us to do, it's going to be more of us kind of imposing that on them. Like, I'm expecting to see quite a few times where Virgil looks up and does that ping over to Salah and says, go on then, you run at him. Yeah. And I think we're going to see more of Salah with the ball running at defenders than we saw in the first game. I mean, we saw quite a bit of that against Southampton and it seemed to work pretty well. So
yeah, there's plenty of defenders who think they've had a good game against Mo Salah, and then the next time it's very different. And I think it just, you know, often it depends on Salah and whether he's having, you know, one of his great days or one where it's not quite sort of happening for him. You know, we can have both in a game sometimes, but he didn't get the opportunity to have that because he was so sort of starved in the ball. You know, there's nothing. I think I mentioned on another show, there was nothing I saw from Salah in that game that I've not sort of seen before. But the problem was we weren't getting the ball enough for him to sort of play his way out of it and just have that one moment where he can light up a game. He will get that opportunity tonight, and yeah, you won't back against him to take it.
That's absolutely not. It's what I was saying before about us, you know, almost not being high enough up the pitch in the right moments. That makes sense, doesn't it? I think somewhere in there is the right combination of words, and that's where you, like you say, that you're sure that will happen tonight in the Anfield leg. That's probably where I would like us to pack out the midfield a bit more to make sure that we can get someone like Salah on the ball more. I think he's just the most important of the front three to get into the game, really, isn't he? Because of that, you know, that element of raw output that you say there, where, you know, he could just drift through a game, really, Mo Salah, but then he'll still pop up with 2 goals. Like, I didn't think he was great against Southampton at the weekend, really, and I know it's 2 penalties that he scores in the end, but it's still, you know, 2 goals that he gets to add to his total and 2 telling contributions to a game which Liverpool had to come from behind to win. So that's where I think, like, if you are on a slot, and I don't know if it was a question Mo asked earlier in the season maybe, but about, you know, Liverpool maybe being a bit too reliant on Salah, I think you can use it to your strengths as much as your weaknesses, where, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to shape the whole team around Salah as such. There's a way to just bring him into the game more, and that's what I'd really like to see Liverpool doing tonight, is that idea of, like, making sure that, you know, whatever else happens on the pitch with the gravity that Mo Salah has, if we're finding a way to get the ball up to him, get him in the right areas, it can bring others into the game just by sheer, you know, numbers of PSG defenders having to run at him, basically.
Yeah, it needs to be remembered as well, Mo, that he's faster at the moment as well. And listen, I'm always, so impressed by not just him but all the athletes, how they managed to just sort of keep going and how they find a way. But I think particularly that Paris game, I think he'd just started fasting, and then you're away from home as well, so your normal sort of routine. And listen, they get a lot of help and things like that. But I wonder whether there was an element of, with that having just started. Obviously, the Southampton game is in daylight, so it's a long time before he'd had anything to eat. Whereas this one, for the Paris sort of home game, now he'll be fasting a week. I assume sort of maybe a little bit more used to it. I'm talking to someone who's sort of never done it, so I'm trying to be respectful here. But I think he'll be a bit more in the rhythm now of the process, and obviously he will have time before the game to get some nutrients in him, to get some energy in him, and to go. And I think that'll help
big time. I think it's a testament to how good he has been that we kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
Like you say, because we've never had to do it. The idea, I mean, last night or yesterday I was very busy and I didn't have anything to eat from 10 a.m. till I got home at like 10:30. And by the time I was doing the second show, I was pissed off. I was really...
And no one was tackling you.
No one was trying to tackle me. So I wasn't having to run anywhere. I was just having to sit and talking to a microphone. And I was just like, oh, fuck this. So it obviously makes a difference. And I think it was notable, obviously, in the game in Paris that there wasn't a point where they broke, because we've seen that we saw in the Europa League game that Man United played in Sociedad, they did have that moment where they broke it. And I do wonder about the difference between maybe getting a chance to do it before the match, because obviously Paris is an hour behind, so maybe they did it before the match, and doing it in the match, and the potential of getting that little energy boost during a match and how much that makes a difference. But I think you're right to say that even if you're doing it every year, it's going to take you a couple of games to get used to the, okay, right, this is how I can manage my energy levels. And I think that we're going to see him more determined to be able to make a difference. I think what's going to be interesting to me is whether or not we use the tactic of going from Alisson to him, where he has to hold off a defender and lay it off to someone. Because if PSG are going to be pressing up high, then that's really a good way of getting around it. So particularly if it's not a Nunez starting, if it's a Jota, so you haven't got that ball up to him to kind of compete with it, maybe that's the move that they're going to do. And if so, he's going to need to show his ridiculous super strength.
Well, ridiculous super strength powered up for Mo Salah. Listen, it's going to be a fantastic game. We're really looking forward to it. Any sort of comments? Sorry, I haven't brought people in. I'm just so giddy with the Champions League fever that Josh talked about before. But any sort of comments on the game, on PSG? What have people been saying, Josh?
Just general excitement again from people all around. Excitement about the game, excitement about the team and who's going to maybe start tonight. Excitement about PSG's overconfidence so far, and of course some excitement about Mo's shorts as well.
I noticed we're dressed very differently. Basically, I'm not going home, so I'm thinking how cold I'm going to be at 11 o'clock at night.
I have to give a shout out to Lindsay, because she's been pestering me to get the shorts out all week. So now this is finally happening. But no, if you see me at Anfield tonight, I'll absolutely not be wearing this.
I'm also disappointed he's all for not asking what shorts, but we can leave that one anyway.
Use trousers and them shorts. Shout out to our friends in Manchester for not just that live but also drawing a stadium. Congratulations on that. They put the pictures out there. There they are, and obviously it'll definitely happen now, just like the Hicks and Gillette Super Bowl that it doesn't remind me of at all. So shout out to them. Listen, wherever you're watching in the world, enjoy the game tonight. Up the Reds from wherever you're sitting, whether you're lucky enough like us to be in Anfield tonight or whether you're watching on the telly with your supporters clubs, whatever it is, enjoy it, get behind the boys, and hopefully we'll all smile and come tomorrow. If that wasn't enough for you and you want more previews of tonight, then why not? We've got pre-match warm-up, which was yesterday, expertly hosted as ever by Ian Ryan. There was pre-match meal that had a real host this week, not that bum that normally does it. It was the main fella, Mr. Worldwide, Josh Sexton, who was doing it yesterday with James Sutton as well. So that is absolutely fantastic. There's press conference extra, Andy Heaton hosted last night as well. So that is all available on the Anfield Wrap app. And like Mo said before, you'll have his review of the press conference, which is available on YouTube, which is handily where you probably are now. So there you are. It hopefully will be right there for you. So loads of stuff, looking forward to it. Then straight after the game from the Glenbook, we're going to be doing the post-match show, audio and video as well. Hopefully it'll be very jubilant. I love it when the Glenbook's bouncing. I love it when you guys can hear the songs going in the background and the laughter and the clinking of glasses. So hopefully we get all those sounds drowning out my nonsense tonight. What a win that was then, and all of that. I'm giddy, I'm excited. We've got Champions League fever. Hopefully you have as well. Huge shout out to NordVPN. Thanks to Mo, thanks to Josh, thanks to you guys. Up the Reds.
Bring your digital life to a whole new level with NordVPN. Choose the fastest VPN on the planet and explore the internet without interruption. Bring your digital life to a whole new level with NordVPN. Choose the fastest VPN on the planet and explore the internet without interruption. Bring your digital